Hello everyone, this is the Seeker of Grace. I have been encountering experiences in the world of Umamusume, Pretty Derby, which are similar to stories from the Christian Bible, and I think it's time for another one. As with my previous story, perhaps you can think about which biblical story this one is similar to, and consider this question as food for thought. All of you trainers surely know who Gold Ship is. If she were to find herself in a pinch, which of these horse girls do you think will help her out? Keep this question in mind as you listen to my story. It was a bright and sunny day. The weather was perfect for a lazy, uneventful day. Surely you did not expect every day to be packed with activities for the horse girls, right? And such days were perfect for our gallivanting girl, Gold Ship, as she roamed the halls of Trayson Academy, looking for her next scandal to stir. Except that this time, her mind was preoccupied with her lost dream about Eden as she frolicked through the fields, which resulted in her, quite inevitably, colliding straight into a tree and being transported to the Eden of her dreams once again. Such accidents were common for Gold Ship, and recovering from them would be a trifle. But the hours passed, and this time, our free-spirited filly simply refused to regain consciousness. And with how long she had stopped breathing for, her life was in danger. If only someone was there to help her. Of course, with how many students there are in Trayson Academy, the discovery of Gold Ship's not-so-little accident was inevitable, and the first person on the scene was Asian Flash. When Asian Flash saw the unconscious Gold Ship, she was reminded of the yakisoba noodles they would share on every summer camp, and took pity on her. Before she could extend a hand to help Gold Ship, however, Asian Flash remembered that she was, before anything else, a manager to the Umadal Smart Falcon, and that she was on her way to the studio to supervise her dance lessons. With her priorities realigned, she walked past the unconscious Gold Ship, muttered a silent apology, then went on her way. While it was unfortunate that Asian Flash refused to help Gold Ship, it was not long before Mayano Top Gun appeared. Surely she would rescue Gold Ship. When Mayano Top Gun saw the unconscious Gold Ship, she remembered the fun times they spent together playing video games and took pity on her. Mayano Top Gun was about to reach out to help Gold Ship when she suddenly recalled that she was on her way to a wedding-themed photo shoot with her trainer. She could not bear the thought of making trainer wait for her. But more importantly, she could not afford to miss the opportunity to live out her fantasies of a married life with him. With her mind fixated on her imaginary wedding, Mayano Top Gun spared no thought for the unconscious Gold Ship and went on her way. Twice Gold Ship was noticed, and twice she was ignored. But not all hope was lost for our damsel in distress, for the next Umamusume to appear was Tosen Jordan. Or perhaps all hope was lost, because Tosen Jordan was Gold Ship's worst enemy, and their relationship was built on mutual hatred. Tosen Jordan stared at the unconscious Gold Ship, initially in shock, then in indignance. For Gold Ship was the one who constantly played pranks on her, the one who argued with her over the most trivial matters, and the one who overshadowed her in races effortlessly through sheer talent. Their differences were vast and irreconcilable. As Tosen Jordan reminded herself of the upcoming karaoke session she had with her friends, she took a moment to gloat over Gold Ship's misfortune, then walked past her haughtily. By some cruel twist of fate, however, Tosen Jordan's conscience pricked her, and letting out a cry of resignation, she turned around to check on the motionless Gold Ship. Upon realizing that her free-spirited foe was blue in the face and closer to death than she thought, Tosen Jordan picked Gold Ship up and ran at top speed to the nearest hospital. She called out to the nurses to give Gold Ship immediate medical attention, then proceeded to contact Tracen Academy, informing the staff of this situation. Disregarding the toenail which she stubbed, Tosen Jordan sat in the corner, worried whether Gold Ship could be resuscitated. A few hours later, Gold Ship's trainer arrived at the scene, and this was what he saw. His trainee, while unconscious, had stabilized, and Tosen Jordan sat by her bedside watching over her. When she noticed that Gold Ship's trainer had arrived, she gave him an update on his trainee's condition, entrusted her care to him, then returned to the academy. In the following days, life for Tosen Jordan returned to its usual tedium. She had to apologize to her friends for missing their karaoke outing that day, and she still had to attend several remedial classes owing to her poor grades. And Gold Ship, the one whom she saved, still continued to play pranks on her. But those who were close to these Umamusume claimed that the animosity between these two sworn enemies seemed to have subsided, and rumor has it that in Gold Ship's recent recollections of her dreams of Eden, she would occasionally mention an encounter with a gracious, gentle angel in the semblance of Tosen Jordan. So, how did you like this story? Do you know which biblical story it is similar to? If you thought of the parable of the Good Samaritan, then you are absolutely correct. This excerpt records an account of Jesus Christ telling a religious teacher a story, perhaps similar to the way I recounted this event. The parable was intended to teach the religious teacher how God defines true love for one's neighbor, And quite like the way you would least expect Thorsen Jordan to be the one who rescues Gold Ship, the religious teacher was likely taken aback by a Samaritan rescuing his sworn enemy, a Jew. But compared to Thorsen Jordan, the Samaritan had more reasons to refrain from helping the Jew. Firstly, the enmity between the Jews and Samaritans of that time was political and hostile. The Samaritan would have been afraid of the Jew resisting his help or even killing him. Secondly, there were definitely armed robbers along the road he was taking, the same ones who assaulted the Jew. Thirdly, the roads of that era were agonizingly long, with facilities few and far between. The Samaritan, by helping the Jew, probably had to make a detour from his intended destination, and it must have been such a huge inconvenience. And fourthly, the Samaritan was absolutely not an Umamusume. He did not have half the speed or power as Thorsen Jordan, and would have struggled all the more to help the Jew. Well, it is undeniably heartwarming to see Thorsen Jordan and the Samaritan helping those in need, but this is where I must ask you, do you know what motivated them to help where others refused? The answer, I believe, is grace. To show love to those who might not even deserve it. And perhaps you might consider that the greatest dispenser of grace is God the Father, who sent God the Son as a sacrifice to save his creation from the condemnation of sin. Good Friday and Easter Sunday may have already ended, but we are still in the season of Eastertide. Hence, will you take this time to reflect on the grace that God has given you? And, in turn, would you show grace to someone in need? If you found this story interesting and wish to hear more of such stories in the future, then please click on the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you for listening, and grace be with you.